What's going on, gamers? Rise here, and today we're going to go over my personal list of the top 5 tips to make the most out of your early game. Now, this list is subjective, and everyone is going to have different opinions on what they want to prioritize for early game. However, for this video, I'm going to show you what I personally found to have helped me make the early game a smooth and relatively painless experience. Without further ado, let's begin. Starting off with tip number 1, use your tutorial skill points efficiently. Now, after you finish the tutorial, you'll be given 4 skill points for free to spend on whatever perk you want. While you might use these points towards your main build, I would suggest using these skill points on staple perks that are going to help you out regardless of what stage in the game you are currently at. Here are a couple perks that I do recommend you putting 1 or 2 skill points in. Sexual Tyrannosaurus. Now, this skill is by far something that every build should have at least 1 point in. What it does is that it reduces the amount of stamina that you use when using melee weapons, tools, or power attacks, and it will make your stamina more manageable whether you're out there gathering or fighting zombies. Another skill that I can recommend you to consider putting some points in would be Lucky Looter. You are going to be looting a lot in the game, and having a bonus to what you loot from the start is just going to pay off significantly in the long run. You can also consider lockpicking instead of Lucky Looter for better loot, but this is more dependent on finding locations that have safes or crates that you can break into, and you also need lockpicks in order to attempt to access these items. Lastly, a couple more skills that would be a good investment earlier on would be Better Barter and the Daring Adventurer. These skills are more trader-based, giving you more money and rewards by selling to the trader or by completing jobs, and is a fantastic way to build up your cash reserves quickly. Moving on to tip number 2, don't loot everything. It can be really tempting to go to a location and clean house, but all that's going to do is clutter up your inventory and encumber you, and you'll be constantly making trips to the trader or to your base to drop things off. Be smart when you loot and only pick up items that you are going to be able to use at the time, or items that you can sell for a significant profit. Things that I would consider definitely picking up early game though would be the essentials: food, weapons, clothes, medicine, ammo, and water. For building materials, wood, metal, and cobblestone are things you are going to be able to use early game without needing to have things like cement mixers or a forge in order to make use of them. Replace things on the go. If you find a higher level weapon, tool, or clothing, replace your current one and scrap it. Use food on the go if you're running out of space to free up more slots, and keep duplicate schematics or books to sell to the trader. Don't loot with the mindset of, oh, I might use this later down the line, I'll just pick it up now just in case. Rather, you want to be thinking about what will be useful to you in your current situation and adjust your looting habits based on what that is. Tip number 3 for early game. Unlock the bicycle early. The bicycle is an extremely useful vehicle to have in the early game because it will let you travel to and from places more quickly, has 9 storage slots for you to use, and lets you travel at no movement penalty even when encumbered. This will single-handedly improve your rate of completing quests and gathering resources and items in the early game. To get the quickest access to the bicycle, you need to focus on doing the trader jobs until you unlock the tier 2 quests, at which point the bicycle will be available as a reward to you. This is definitely something that you shouldn't pass up to make your playthrough easier. Tip number 4, use your map. The map is an extremely useful tool to have to track any points of interest that you find during your travel. Once you've acquired the bicycle, try scouting around town and marking down buildings or locations that you'd be interested looting in the future. Mark down locations that you've looted already, locations that have safes you haven't opened yet, and resource locations. You can make a note of where the traders are, where your base is, and possible base locations if you need to relocate. Overall, I highly recommend you use the map as a reference to plan out your activities for each day. And now for our final tip for early game. Tip number 5, be productive during nighttime. Normally, nighttime begins at 2200 and ends at 0400 the next morning. During this time, your vision becomes more limited without a light source, and all zombies will be able to run as well. While it may sound scary and seem like a time where you should be hiding, you should try to make the most out of these 6 hours by mass crafting in your base, organizing your inventories, and even building. You can also consider going out at nighttime to loot, however, I do recommend that you gear yourself up first before you do so. Nighttime is basically your free time to do whatever you need to do while the trader is closed, and as long as you exercise caution, you shouldn't have any problems when dealing with any zombies that may show up. Those are my 5 top tips for early game and 7 Days to Die. Now, I'd like to pose a question to you. What do you usually like to do in the early game? Leave me a comment below. As always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you liked the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this one. Until next time gamers, Ryza out!